And welcome back to the east of Gauteng, and this is of course where we're coming to you from this morning. We're at the Birchwood Conference Centre and we're here for the Human Rights National Conference of Human Rights in South Africa. And this of course as we mark 30 years of democracy in South Africa. That seminal day of course will be upon us on the 27th of April, but in just a few days time we will be marking Human Rights Day here in South Africa. So quite a lot has been done, quite a lot has been said, and the conference we're at this morning will be looking at quite a few interesting themes as well. Some of the topics under discussion would be, for example, the assessment of progress towards building a culture and respect for and the promotion of human rights in South Africa 30 years post-democracy. And then also the right to land ownership in the context of Section 25 of the Constitution. And that assessment will be done and discussed. And just taking a look at this program and some of the discussants, the panels that will be discussing this, it promises to be quite an eventful 3 days. But I'm joined now by the person who obviously is the custodian, so to speak, as the minister under whose auspices this conference is taking place. Minister Ronald Lamola is, of course, the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services. Thanks for your time, Minister. So 30 years of democracy, human rights, as a lawyer yourself, as an activist from a very young age, 30 years on, please reflect for us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sakina, and to the viewers at home. It is indeed a watershed moment for the country. 30 years of democracy. We have to take stock, assess how far have we gone with regards to the protection and the promotion of human rights. I believe we have done our best to do that in terms of what is contained in the Bill of Rights, but we might be lacking more on the socio-economic rights. So I hope that this conference will take us to deal with that, particularly to create an equal society in the next 30 years, that all South Africans should be able to feel that their socio-economic rights must be taken to the next level. So there will be an assessment of the past 30 years, and hence also there is a discussion on the land question, on the various provisions that we are supposed to see being protected and promoted by the Bill of Rights.
And of course, South Africans sitting at home watching, and hopefully SABC will be able to let them in on many of these discussions that will be taking place. People reflecting of their own journeys in these past 30 years, and some of them good, some of them not so good, and especially, as you say, on the socio-economics front. So to that extent, you know, as the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, we spoke to the Human Rights Commission earlier on, for example, and they said they are understaffed. They don't have the necessary capacity to ensure that they can do their job as well as they can, or as adequately as they should, because they've been accused of being reactionary. How does government respond to that? Because it's all good and well to have the Chapter 9 constitutions in place, to have the provisions in place, but if you cannot actually get to the people and make sure that you protect their rights, what's the point?
Yeah, that's why the conference is constituted by almost all state departments, all government departments, the judiciary, civil society, private sector, and everyone in South Africa has got a role, including the Chapter 9 institutions, which, as you are aware, they get allocation from the National Treasury. But ourselves as a Department of Justice, from time to time, we do help them where it's practically possible within the available resources as called for by the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. It is indeed, and they do need to have enough resources to be able to enforce the rights and also protect South Africans. That also includes the Office of the Public Protector, our judiciary, and all also other state departments that have got a role to play in the promotion and in the implementation of the Bill of Rights.
So I'm hoping that the discussions are going to be really robust, because I think the last thing South Africans want is another talk shop. South Africans are tired of discussions. They are tired of people having conferences and nothing coming out of it. And as you say, Minister, making all the right touch points and saying that the Chapter 9 institutions need to be supported. But what are you guys doing in order to support them, to make sure that Treasury understands the necessity, the value that needs to be added so that people's human rights can be protected?
Yeah, as I've said already, almost annually, the Department of Justice does, from its resources, provide that support to the Office of the Public Protector and to some of the Chapter 9 institutions. And we also, where possible, the National Treasury also does provide that support. But as you are aware, we are in a fiscal constrained environment, which is not only affecting the Chapter 9 institutions, it's affecting the whole of government, and the National Treasury is navigating a very tight rope, which they try their best to ensure that all the Bill of Rights provisions, as they are not only provided for by the Chapter 9 institutions, they are catered for. So it is a responsibility that we take, but it's also something that we need everyone in society. As you say this, you hope this will be a robust engagement. That's why we do not only invite friends. We've invited nemesis, we've invited academics, critical and uncritical. We've invited civil society, friendly and unfriendly. Everyone
who are the unfriendly ones that you've invited?
Everyone who has got a role to play too.
Who are the unfriendly ones you've invited?
I mean, you will engage as we engage in the platforms. You will hear. So we have invited everyone, and they've got the right to voice whatever views that they have. And this will then be packaged and be taken through the cabinet processes. When necessary, it will be taken through parliamentary processes so that there is implementation of the recommendations. It's not just a talk show. As you will be aware, our human rights came as a result of engagements, came out of CODESA, came out of various engagements. So it's not just a talk show. It will be impactful. It will take us to the next 30 years.
Impactful will mean that tomorrow South Africans will wake up and their human rights that are enshrined in the Constitution will be better protected than they were when they woke up this morning. Is that going to be the case?
I can't say tomorrow morning, but indeed it is the case, as you are aware. As I've said, everyone who is supposed to enforce the human rights of everyone is here. All government departments, the judiciary, they implement it on a day-to-day basis, the police, the NPA, and everyone who has got that role, human settlement in terms of housing provision, and all those issues that are a teething challenge that the public protector also deal with, and so forth. So all those issues will definitely be mainstreamed and will be responded to.
Minister Ronald Lamola, thanks so much for your time. Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Ronald Lamola, speaking to us here. And of course, as he says, we're hoping for robust conversations and interactions, and hopefully there will be some movement after this, and it's not just a tick box exercise. And that, of course, is where we send it back to you, Sims, for headlines.